Guess who's back?
Oh, yes.
Back again. No, we're not Slim Shady.
Right? No.
The Mike and Mike Off-Air podcast. You see he's got a new album that came out?
Yes, I do. And the song Houdini, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Steve Miller Band. I did not see Eminem covering Steve Miller. Or not covering, but sampling, if you will, Steve Miller. So I actually saw that Steve Miller gave like this huge shout out to Eminem. Hey, thank you. No, seriously. Thank you. I've noticed the paychecks rolling in a little bit more steadily now.
Yeah, it's like he probably went from an instinctive really to, you know what this is going to stack up like at the mailbox dance? Yeah, this is going to be good.
Yeah, a song from him called Houdini from Eminem if you want to check it out. But Mike and Mike Off-Air podcast. Mike Pesto hanging out over here.
Mike O'Neill on the other side of the other side. And hello there.
Hello to everyone watching on the YouTube channel. Love it that you get there and like and subscribe. And, of course, listen anytime you like at my975fm.com.
And before you get a rolling, and I know you're gonna, I don't know if at your house you guys are into Olympics as much as we are at our house.
They haven't started yet, have they?
No. Okay, that means
I
no.
guess maybe that answers the question.
I'll take, what are you talking about for 200, Alex? Now, I'm so excited. The 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris, France, obviously, and they will start July the 26th and run through August the 11th. And I don't know. It's just a little bit about all of it that I like. Everything from the opening ceremonies, the torch progress, and then they light it. And I just find it very inspirational. And then I've got absolute favorites across the board. It's just, and then and we're only talking about the Summer Olympics. If we were into the Winter Olympics, I've got a whole different bunch of fans there. But I mean, I just love all of it. And I mean, Simone Biles back for the 4,983rd time.
I'm amazed that she is still able to compete at the level she was able to years ago. It would be like Michael Phelps coming back at this point and saying, I got one more year left in me.
Yeah, and Gabby Douglas, I mean, for gosh sakes, Cassidy Cook, Sarah Bacon, the diving best friends on the American team, and of course, swimming, Katie Ledecky. God, she's back and back and back and back again, and I'm excited to see how that's going to play out. And then there's the whole other sort of not really the professional amateurs on the basketball team. LeBron is on, of course, the basketball team. Curry is, and Kevin Durant. I mean, that's going to be fun to watch, right?
More and more, I know in the Olympics, the European teams are catching up. In fact, I remember in the NBA draft just the other night, I want to say the first two players and many players in the first round of the NBA draft were not college players in the U.S. They were foreign players who play over in Europe. So more and more, it's realizing, hey, there's some pretty good talent on the other side of the pond.
Well, I remember when one of the teams we sent over, it's like one of the first pro sort of teams that we sent over. And I forget who the player was. I can't remember which of our major A-League players it was, but I remember one of the, I don't know who it was, European players, just got right up in somebody's face and just blocked it. And they just sort of looked at whoever this, famous basketballer was like, how do you like me now? And it was like, whoa, I guess, like you say, I guess the level has gone up.
Being a Chicago Bulls fan growing up, I remember there was one year in particular when Michael Jordan was still playing. And Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were on the Dream Team that year.
Yeah.
And there was a player playing for Croatia, Toni Kukoc, who Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan knew the Bulls had already drafted him, but he hadn't played with them yet. So they kind of gave him a nice introduction to what it is to play in the NBA. And then they all got along swimmingly well when they actually were on the same team and won several championships together.
Hey, college boy, it's going to get harder now.
Well, again, in that level, it's not even college. These are pros at that point. Yeah.
And I don't, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The lady basketballers. Brittany Griner is on the team this year. There's some.
You've so far, just for the record, you've mentioned one name that I've recognized: Simone Biles.
Well, in ladies basketball, having nothing to do with the Olympics at all, Brittany Griner's a big name. She was just drafted into the ladies pro league.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think of the other gals.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
No, she didn't make the team.
It's not so much she didn't make. I forget. There was a whole lot of reasons why she wasn't going to be on the Olympic team, but she and Brittany, it was so great. They have a little. It's a perceived battle going on right now. In fact, somebody asked Caitlin Katie recently, what's the about it? He goes, only you guys, pointing to the reporters. Only you guys think we have one. We get along great. We just call it basketball. This is just called basketball.
Yeah, I mean, the guys have been doing it for years, and yet Michael Jordan, again, going back to when he played, famously, between the lines, as they say in baseball, on the court in basketball, did not get along with anybody, sometimes even his own teammates, because he was so demanding of perfection from himself and everyone around him. And to get in his own head every once in a while, he would really lay into other players. And there's of all the sports, maybe with the exception of football, there's more trash talking in basketball than, I mean, look at the movie White Men Can't Jump. I mean, that it kind of encapsulated the smack talk.
And a lot of it has to do with the proximity. You're up in each other's face every 2 seconds. I'm whispering something to you for the 15th time today that nobody can hear. Ha, ha, ha.
And it is probably something about your mama.
Oh, man, Mama, leave her alone. I hear you, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. Right to the closing ceremonies. I just think all of it's fantastic. And now that we have a 75-inch nice big screen on the wall, it's going to be even better. So
I will say, is it on NBC again this year? Do you know?
I think so. I think it is, my friend, and they've done a pretty good job of covering it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember out of Fresno, which station is that? Isn't
that KC24?
So KC24. Do we get that? Yes, that is one of the few channels we actually get since we cut the cord a while back.
Score.
We're literally just pulling things off the antenna, which sucks in a little way because I can't go back and rewind live TV like you can with DVR.
Can I get through the commercial? No,
I guess I got to sit here. I'm watching it in real time. That's right. I forgot about that.
Wait, I have to use the restroom. Can I? Oh, I'm going to miss.
I will say that they have always done a great job of creating the storylines for viewers like me who are just being introduced to these people for the first time. They'll let you know who they are, where they came from, why this is such a big deal for them. Maybe family members of them have ever competed in the Olympics. All those great storylines, they'll go back and they've already recorded packages about them because they realize these are the athletes that are expected to do really well.
Yeah, and like there's one of them that I mentioned earlier in ladies diving. There's Cassidy Cook and Sarah Bacon. They were actually huge best friends in real life.
Okay.
And they're on the team and they get to go over together. How cool would that be to actually perform in the Olympics with your best friend? I mean, what a great idea to have great support, I think. I'd be something like nothing else.
Now, I will be watching. I get into the Olympics with the Winter Games a little bit more because I'm one of the few people I know who likes curling.
Curling?
I love curling.
I watch it just trying to, are they really doing anything? Is there science to this, or are they just waving? Are they augmenting that thing?
I'm waiting for them to have shuffleboard be in the Summer Games. If you're going to have curling in the Winter Games, basically curling is shuffleboard.
On ice.
So, why not at this point? And have it on a cruise ship, because that's the only play every time you have to play shuffleboard is on a cruise ship.
And the older I get, the better that is. That's wild, man.
So before we get into the Paco Balderrama drama in Fresno, as you're opening your eyes, you haven't heard anything about this.
I may or may not have.
Wow, you're the only one in the South Valley who hasn't.
Okay, well, welcome.
Have you looked at your phone recently?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and look at your phone, and if you wouldn't mind, open the weather app and scroll down to next Saturday.
I'm happy to say that has changed.
Oh, it has? Okay, good. I can tell you, as I was on the air this morning, I got a text from Jennifer Grant, who takes care of us all on the midday show from 10 till 3, kind of the meat between the Mike and Mike sandwich. She sent me a text when she first woke up in the morning, and you're showing me that it has been corrected now to 113 degrees.
Somebody that works for them thought that we were in Phoenix, clearly.
Still ungodly hot, but
I know.
She sent me a text, and all it said is, "What's up with the 122?" And I was like, what on earth is she talking about? 122? She can't be talking about a temperature. So I just grabbed my phone, I scrolled to Michael, and there's no 122 this week, and oh my God.
I know.
And it's up on our Facebook page now. I took a screenshot of it. Next Saturday, there was a projected forecast high of 122 degrees.
And that went right through the radio station. We all looked at it and had it on there. And then about 20 minutes ago, I looked at it and it went blink. Oh, 113. Oh, somebody must have called A.J. Fox, and he must have called somebody over there and said, hey, we're not in Phoenix.
The funny thing is I've been listening to some of the other stations in Fresno today and looking at a lot of social media posts from news anchors in Fresno at the TV stations. They were posting about it. So it isn't just this a little anomaly that hit a couple people. Everyone has been talking about it today.
Well, 122 would be unheard of here. I mean, most of our HVAC systems can really only cool the inside of the house 20 degrees cooler than the outside. That would have inferred that it would have been 102 in your living room this Saturday.
And I joked about it with Jennifer Grant. We were fortunate enough to have a pool. We've even noticed this year, the pool water is almost to the point where it's too warm to be comfortable.
I get you.
So we're going to hit Winco or maybe Costco, Save-Mart, and get 3 or 4 bags of ice for next weekend and literally put them in the pool just to cool off the pool water a little bit.
Be the only house on the street where an ice truck pulls up. Where do you want it? Backyard.
Ramp it all down into the pool.
Straight in the deep end. That'd be hilarious.
So, Paco Balderrama, police chief for Fresno, as you're still shrugging.
No,
now you're connecting
when you
all
said
the
police
dots.
chief, I remember hearing.
So the
about
name
it.
didn't ring a bell, but the title did.
But the mistake that he made, I believe, is what if
well,
it's what I think it is.
Is it a mistake if it lasts longer than a year? Now, reports are, and we're going to say that a lot so that we cover our own ERSs legally. Reports that I've read and heard is that I take it back. He's still not former. He's not resigning until like the 25th of July, but he has given his letter of resignation because he was involved in an extramarital affair. He's married.
With one of his officers, right?
Well, no, not his officers, his officers' wives.
That's what I meant.
So
technically, I mean, he had to work with the man.
And I don't know if that officer knew. There are reports are that he did know. There are reports that there may have even been some favoritism for that officer or assigning things to him, thus making sure the police chief knew what his schedule would be so he would know if he could pay a little trip to that officer's home. A lot of talk about it. Now, here's where it gets real convoluted. So apparently this goes back to February.
Okay.
That chief went to City Hall and said, hey, I need to let you know I've been doing something I should not have been doing. They launched an investigation. That investigation did not become public until recently when, again, I believe reports were that the press were made aware of it. So to get out in front of it, that's when they officially announced that this investigation was going on. So they announced the investigation was over. In less than 24 hours of that announcement, Paco Balderrama resigned without that investigation result ever being made public. And now they're saying it won't be.
Wow. That sounds like the result of deals behind the scenes and trying to keep things suppressed.
This is...
Was his lawyer Donald Trump by any chance?
Well, I think Donald Trump has all the lawyers wrapped up at this point. I don't know if there are any others.
That's just a joke.
I'm shocked something like this is happening in Fresno. I think we forget at times just how big of a city Fresno is. 500,000 people. You put Fresno in almost any other state in the country, it's going to be the largest city in that state.
Yeah.
So to see them have to deal with this type of drama, I guess it's maybe a little surprising we haven't heard of things like this. The way they're handling this, though, is basically from the reports that I've seen and heard, they're really pointing the finger at the media. Like it's the media's fault.
Oh, please.
That there's so much scrutiny. There's the media's fault that they're asking for all these questions to be answered. That's the media's job.
It's literally their job. And you already know what I think. We've talked about this in the past. You know what I think about this particular subject, marital extra anything. And I hate to sound like a goody two-shoes, but we expect a little more from the police. We expect a higher level of behavior. I hate to say it, but we do. And when something like this cracks, especially at the top, it has a lot to do with my faith in it to some degree. And that's not fair to the other officers. And that's not fair to, other married people. And man.
Now, let me ask you a hypothetical. Say he had been having an affair, but it was not with anyone that had any ties to law enforcement, either them or their spouse. Is it still something that would have risen to the level of investigation, results come out, chief decides to retire before the investigation results are published?
Well, I think it makes it worse when it's somebody you work with. I mean, you're supposed to have... I don't love everybody I work with here. I like all of them, and I have friends with some of you. And I respect every single one of the people I work with. And for that, one of many reasons, I wouldn't do that. I would have more respect for my fellow employees, both the ones I work with and the ones that I was potentially going to have an affair with, and the ones that are around to witness it. I wouldn't do that. Plus, of course, by the way, I'm married, and I have respect for my wife and my God, and I wouldn't do that. But no, I just think I think it makes it worse because it just. I mean, there's favoritism questions to be called into there now. There's. It's just kind of awful all the way around.
For me, that is the fireable offense. If it was just an affair he had with someone and that became public, and it was an affair that he had with someone who was also married, all right, that looks pretty bad. But I don't think that's a fireable offense. That's something you need to handle with your wife, with your Lord, with the other couple involved, as long as it does not interfere with your performance at work. Bad judgment, but okay. Because it involved the spouse of a police officer who he was over, that's where, for me, it crosses that line. A lot of people have been throwing in the comparison between that and the alleged affair that Donald Trump had. Well, first of all, he didn't have that affair while he was president. There's no indication that that actually took place while he was president or anything illicit like that happened while he was president for the 4 years that he was. So it's not a fair comparison on that aspect.
No,
and again,
no.
it wasn't with anyone that was working for one of his companies.
No.
I mean, again, poor judgment, but
when you are a police officer, when you are a soldier, when you are firemen, they call it keeping the faith. There's a level of trust that you have with these men and women because you're working at the level that you are, that you have to be able to trust them. How can you trust that guy now? I couldn't. I wouldn't believe if he was telling me something. It calls into question his credibility, and I wouldn't trust him anymore.
So for you, there's no distinction between having an affair with someone who has a spouse that's on the force, or if he had just had an affair with some random person.
They're both wrong. One's severely worse.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
So if he had had an affair with someone with no ties to the police department, city hall, anything whatsoever, is it still something he should be investigated for and possibly fired for?
Well, it depends. Here at the radio station, we've been asked not to have relationships with each other. If they've been asked that.
But again, this is outside of that. This is someone who is just a citizen.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, that does. I don't know. It's still wrong.
But is that a fireable offense at that point? Or is that, again, as I'm thinking,
no,
that's between you and your wife and the other couple involved, and don't bring that drama into work, but maybe a suspension at the most.
I don't know. It does. I'll just say it begins to cause you to question their judgment.
Yes.
And this is at a performance level where split-second judgment is key, and you have to question a person that would do that judgment. Does that make any sense?
It does. And I've also heard, I don't know if maybe Austin has weighed in on this yet, but he was, and as this was all unfolding, it came out that police chief for Fresno, Paco Balderrama, once he was suspended, basically, I think with pay up until the investigation, he threw his hat in the ring to be the police chief for Austin, Texas. Now, when I saw that, I'm like,
and I'll leave it all behind. See ya.
got to be kidding me. At that point, you're basically saying, yeah, they got me dead to rights. And the other thing that kind of bugs me with this, and there's no way of proving this, again, my thoughts, my speculation, that someone who did that investigation went to him and said, listen, this is pretty damning stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is going to be our recommendation that we fire you. I would recommend, because we all like you,
get out in front
professionally, you should probably resign. Unless someone talks or that didn't happen, we'll never know.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. The timing on it just seems so odd, is that they announced the investigation was over. Less than 24 hours later, before it's made public, peace out, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Feels like the result of a meeting.
Yeah. Or a heads up from someone. Hey, you didn't hear this from me, but...
That's why you don't do those things. I mean, I know none of us are perfect. We've all made mistakes. But, I mean, that had to be a great paying job.
It is, and I can't imagine he's going to get that equivalent job anywhere else in the country right now. As I heard someone point out, most places have Google at this point, and for a job like this, they're going to do a Google search if they have not heard of you. What's the first thing that's going to come up if you Google search Paco Balderrama?
It ain't going away. It's true. It's true. We tell a lot, and they're telling the college kids as they're ramping up and getting ready to graduate, it's time to start cleaning up your social media profile, because when you go for your first job, they don't want to see the time that you did the awesome streak straight down Main Street at 4 a.m. That's not going to get you hired. So
you don't have to go to San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, L.A. for big city drama.
Fresno.
We've got some here in the Valley.
Good Lord. Well, good luck to him. I wish anybody and everybody that has made a mistake the best. We are not the sum total of our mistakes, but that was one indeed.